week, I got the chance to interview Brian and Veronica, the founders of the first ever annual SizeCon. Tell us about SizeCon, guys. What is it? Where is it? How do we attend?
Yeah, so SizeCon is what we hope to be a gathering of macrophiliacs and sort of the assorted interests that are related. We're having it in New York City on April 23rd, and we have a Eventbrite where you can get tickets. The general admission tickets start at $40. You know, there are various other level tickets, VIP type stuff. But in any case, the sort of the main gist of it, though, is, we wanted to gather people in a community that normally is not, they normally don't get together. They normally hang out on the internet, on chat rooms and these sorts of things. And we started a while ago as meetups, and we found that they were very powerful. And so our idea is, let's try to have a bigger one where we can not only gather a lot of people together, but gather people together and also have some cool extras like virtual reality and green screens, and we can also invite some of the big artists in the community and make it a real celebration.
We actually got the inspiration for doing SizeCon because I went to AntherCon the previous year with my best friend. She happens to be a furry, and she wanted to invite me to go to the con, and I was like, yeah, why not? I'm sure it'll be fun. And I mean, furries really know how to party. I thought it was a really fun con, and I figured, for macrophiles and microphiles, we have a kind of similar community where, we live online, but furries somehow have managed to take that online community into the real world. And I figured, we don't have costumes, but there might be other fun ways that we can bring that internet fantasy or, internal fantasy that we have into the real world. And so that's what we're doing with SizeCon, hopefully.
What would you guys say is the biggest misconception about macrophilia and microphilia?
I'd say a lot of people think it's a fetish about like midgets or like little people or like Amazons or people who are very overweight. When they think giant women, they think like BBW. They're not exactly the same thing. I mean, not for us. It's not even the same ballpark.
Right.
Most macrophiles, when we're talking about like really liking someone giant, I'm talking about like 50 feet, 100 feet. Some people like 1,000 feet, or like giants that are bigger than planets. So, it all boils down to personal preference, of course. But yeah, that's one of the big misconceptions. And another big misconception is that it's only a fetish about giant women. I'd say the past 10 years or so, a lot of the female macrophiles have been a bit more prominent in the community, making more artwork, writing a lot more.
So Brian, are there any kinks and fetishes that go hand in hand with macrophilia and microphilia?
Yeah, I would say so. There is definitely a lot of overlap between macrophilia, microphilia, and the expansion/inflation community. And I think the reason for that is not only because you can, like a little size difference in just a body part is they're along the same lines, I would say. The other thing is, I think for the two communities, they sort of relate to each other because both of them are literally impossible to have in real life, right? You can't, in the case of inflation or expansion, you can't have someone balloon up into,
right.
It's just not possible, right? And in our case, you can't have someone be 100 feet tall. It's impossible. And I think that also is a nice connection there. But actually, also, I find that there are a few other fetishes that sort of lend themselves to size. For instance, I find that a lot of people who have macrophilia also have foot fetishes, right?
Yes, I learned that too. Yeah.
And so it makes sense, because if you imagine yourself being say a tiny 3-inch person, walking around, normal sized people, you're probably going to be at their feet a lot, and
Right.
that is sort of a natural extension, I would say, to be attracted to that part of a person's body. And at the same time, there are also people who are very into vor, which is a fetish about being swallowed. And that also makes sense because if you imagine yourself being very small, one of the things that can happen is you could get eaten, right? You know, I just like tying it all up, there's certainly a ton of different sort of subgenres within the genre and I think that not only for us is it important to recognize all those, but to make them feel included at our event, and that's definitely our goal here, is to welcome everybody within our little corner of the world into our event with open arms.
You know, I've noticed, I mean, everyone with sexual fetishes has to deal with some level of stigma. Have you noticed that with vor specifically, I noticed a lot of people will refer to it, instead of using that term, they'll say they have an oral fetish. Is that the same thing? Are they just using a different term, basically?
I can answer that because I'm actually a vorophile.
Yeah.
So I feel that the stigma with vor is a lot of people think that outsiders will think it's cannibalism when it's not cannibalism. It's not flesh eating. It's eating the person whole. A lot of people think about the fantasy in a non-lethal way. It's more of a domination thing, like this person has you. You can't escape type sensation. I do feel that when people use, I mean, of course we can have oral fixation. Like, I definitely find mouths very attractive, very appealing to me. I feel when they use that sort of defense, it's just they're trying to protect themselves from the cannibalism label.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I read a blog a long time ago, many years ago actually, and this person with vor was explaining that their insight was that they thought it came from when they were younger, and they noticed how often we use terms related to food and eating with love and affection, which I found fascinating. And they gave this example. They said, you know how often you see parents pretend to eat their child's feet? You know, it's like, oh, you're so cute, I can gobble you up.
Right.
Which I found fascinating. It was fascinating insight.
We definitely, like, in the club, we've talked about, like, reasons why we think we might have it. One of our members said that, you know, vor might be related to the comfort that we feel in our mother's womb, you know, wanting to be inside of the body where it's safe. But I don't really know where it comes from. I don't know if it's just like we have a genetic, like, disposition for it or something like that, or if it's something taught to us. You know, I mean, there's people in the club who, you know, they've had an attraction to vorophilia since they were 5, and other people got it when they were 16. You know, it just kind of happens, maybe even before they know what sex is. It's just, it's really interesting. I don't know why, but
it is really interesting.
Yeah, turns me on. I don't know.
I'm going to experience the world from a tiny perspective.